Hey, welcome to Windy Wenty. Not so windy today. This is my backyard. I'm Pastor Rick. I pastor Wentworthville Baptist Church, which meets in Oasis Christian Community Centre, and this is Oasis Christian Community Centre Connect Point. You may wonder why we're meeting in our backyard. It has more to do with the fact that it helps my illustration today than it is the fact of isolation. I'm currently sitting on the dog box that my family and I built. It's a 2 metre long, 1 metre high solid rig. Keeps my Great Dane and my Labrador Cross happy, I hope. It still requires a bit of paint though. Then it'll be finished. Let's hope it lasts. Buddy keeps wrecking all the boxes we buy for him. Don't you, mate? It's not the best home, but it's suffice. In fact, it's not really a home at all. I think about the dogs and I think this is the place that they sleep in, but they spend more time with people than they do sleeping in this box, I think. The reason that we're meeting here is I actually had a couple of thoughts about homes and houses and what it means to be stuck in our homes at the moment. Isolation can be driving some of us insane. Maybe creating hard spaces for many of us mentally. There's also the hard space of having to be stuck in the one place for so long. Much of that causes confusion, perhaps even anxiety for people. There's a worry of what next. I wonder what you think about your home at the moment. As you sit there, maybe watching this from your office or your dining table, on your phone, in your backyard. I wonder what you think about your home at the moment. I wonder whether you see all the jobs that still need to be done, or maybe you're feeling the tension of being stuck with these same people all the time. I wonder what you think about when you think of home. For me at the moment, I certainly think about the jobs that need being done, but the thing that sort of preoccupies my time more than anything else is the homeschooling of my 4 kids. It's a lot of work. In fact, I would say it's more work than I thought it would be. But when I think about what my home is built for, I realize that it's built for more than just a place to dwell in. That the home is more about the community that happens within it than it is about what it is. It's more about the people that come through it and the events that happen around it than it is about the actual building itself. When I think about homes that I look at and become a little bit desirous of, they're the big brick homes that are rendered at the front, have those lovely shell lights that shine so beautifully and brightly at night. They have hard floors so they're easy to clean. They've got enough space to house all the toys that my kids have. It has this immaculate design. The thoughts of those homes sort of preoccupy me at times, and I think, why is it that that's what I desire so much of? It reflects a little bit of my own life, I think, when I get frustrated with the way that I am either not performing or the way that I'm letting myself down or my family down. For me personally, I look around my home and I think, what are all the jobs that I can get done before this coronavirus epidemic ends. I think Bunnings is going to make a few dollars out of me yet. But the reality is there's more to a home or a house than just the building itself. For me, right now, my kids are inside playing after a long day of homeschooling. My wife and I are spending time doing this video, and there's a lot more that happens in our home from a regular day-to-day basis than just worrying about the structure itself. There's a lot more to do with our home that is about the people in the home. Much more to do with what the function of the home is for. Yes, we sleep here. Yes, we eat here. Yes, it gives us shelter from the wind and the rain, but for us it's more than just a roof over our heads. There's the old saying, as you might know it, home is where the heart is. Home is where we find the warmth and the presence of what community is. Home is where we find the connection of life to life stuff. Where we deal with the crises of our children, where we deal with the frustrations and the arguments that come up from the day to day, where we deal with the questions of life and the ponderings that our children have about what life truly means right now for them. Home is more to do with life than it is a building. Have you ever thought about that? A home has much more to do with people than it does place. It's funny, in the book of 2 Samuel, David has just finished building his own home. It's a massive palace, and he starts thinking about, well, where does God live? Because God had been living in a tent, dwelling in the tabernacle from the time that the people left Egypt. And so he decides he's going to build him this massive cedar temple. And Nathan, the prophet, says, go do what you want. And during that night, Nathan gets a dream and a vision from God and goes back to David and says, no, it's not for you to build. God, it does not need you to build him a home. In the end, his son Solomon builds a temple, and that in the end doesn't even remain standing. The home that was built by human hands for God no longer stands. Our homes are shells. Our homes are so often a picture of things that we want or desire, things that we hope that they could be or would be, and yet not fulfilling at all. In the New Testament, John writes in John chapter 14, this amazing picture of Jesus returning to heaven and preparing a place for his disciples, the followers of Christ, where he would one day come and bring them back to his Father's home, a home that is, well, from the book of Revelations, is astounding. It's a place we call heaven. And Jesus indicates to us that this life, this house that we live in now, this body that we are home in now is only temporary. It's not a forever thing. And yet it preoccupies so much of our time, particularly now when we're stuck in them so often. We get preoccupied with the temporary things of life. You know, the church has always been called to think of the eternal. Not so much so that it no longer has a perspective on what matters in life. Yes, we need shelter. Yes, we need a place to lay our heads. But in the end, the Bible always points back to this idea that there is something far greater than the temporal homes that we build. I mean, considering Buddy's a Great Dane and he's already started chewing on this box, I don't know how long it's going to last. But it was only ever meant to be temporary. I mean, in fact, our lives are only ever temporary. I think of scriptures that remind me that our lives are like blades of grass. They're here today and gone tomorrow. And I think about this particular epidemic of coronavirus that's around, and so much of life seems so temporal, restricted by time. And yet, right now, I find myself thinking more about what it matters and less of the distractions that take my time. What about you? What about the people that you're sharing life with, the people that you're talking to? What are the things that matter to you? Right now, you may be stuck in your home. You may be on a phone call with a friend. What matters to you? Is it the frustrations of what it means to be stuck in your home? Is it the frustrations of the people that you're stuck with? Both God and his Son point us to the picture of heaven, because they say there is a far greater picture, far greater thing to focus your life on. Thomas, in his way, the disciple Thomas, always doubted and misunderstood Jesus, it seemed. And Jesus says, you know the way to my home, and Thomas says, I don't know the way. And Jesus reminds him that he himself is the way. Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. If you know me, you know the Father, and you know where he lives. For many people right now, they're contemplating their futures without finances, without jobs. People will lose their homes. People will lose the comforts of this world as we've lost the distractions from this world. And in the end, what will matter? What will hold up? You know, in the book of Matthew, we read, Jesus says that he is the rock, that the wise man builds his house on that rock. Right now, many people have built their lives on shaky ground. Right now, the very temporal things that they've built their lives on are being taken away. My question to us all is, how do we actually help people see a greater reality? that God is preparing a home for each one that would actually call on the name of Jesus. I wonder what part we play in helping people see that we are not overly fascinated with the temporary things, but focus on the eternal things. I wonder how we might help people see and understand that Jesus is the way, the truth, and life, and He is preparing a place for us, an eternal place, an eternal home. Sure, I would like to live in a fancy place, at least a place that had an extra bathroom, at least that had a place that had an extra bedroom or some extra wardrobes. But the reality is, all this stuff doesn't matter. What matters is that I know where my eternal home is. And while I temporarily get stuck in a place where I want to spend money to fix up a garden or renew something in my backyard, fix something in my house, that expenditure of time and energy and effort will never measure up to what I should be spending on the focus of the eternal home that I have. What will you do? What will you focus on during this time? Will you find yourself focused on the frustrations of being in the house with people that often get under your skin? The frustrations of being isolated from people you love? The frustrations of the work that you need to get done or the job that you've lost? What is the temporary things that you're going to get caught up in that will take you away from the eternal things? How do we actually spend more time focusing on eternity and living in such a way that we have joy in our hearts now, not because our home is perfect here, but because there's a perfect home waiting for us? How will you spend your time? What will you do? Who will you share the message of hope with? So it's the end of another video, the end of another day. As I sit here with my dogs in front of their home. Well, I just pray that you will know a far better, more glorious hope. Even though you may be isolated right now, even though you may be stuck in a home that you want to do renos on, even though you may be stuck in a home where dogs want to take all the glory, I want to promise you that there is something far better waiting for you in the name of Jesus. He says, I'm going to prepare a place for you. I pray that you would actually know that place that He sets before you. It's an eternal home, far better than the home you have right now, no matter whether you have the slate floors, tiled floors, the great carpet, the amazing paint, the spa bath, whatever it is. There's a home being prepared for you, and it's a good home. And that home is a home of rest. So while you struggle now, promise is there is a great home waiting for you. If you just know Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. Bless you, friends, and we'll catch up with you the next time.